What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Sonoy Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined by JD as well as Miles, and we're just going to kind of recap this the beatdown that SMU gave UNT, and kind of get into this, that, and the other as it pertains to that from our perspectives. Really quick, just some quick stats. Austin Ani, 14 of 29, 186 passing yards, 2 INTs. Running back, Oscar Attaway, he was doing the most, as well as just running backs had a pretty good night. I mean, running backs are just our strong point. That's not really a shocker if you're following North Texas for a while here. So, they did their thing, and aside from a few mistakes, I feel like the offensive line did pretty okay. And receiving, Jamori Macklin had one reception, which made him the leader of the night for one reception for 53 yards. Jake Roberts, he was being, Jake Roberts. Varkey's Gum's got 2 catches, and Burns, Shorter's back. Bush, had to catch. Anyway, not a lot to celebrate though, nevertheless. And defensively, I'm not going to read through all the defensive stats, but just kind of whatever. But anyway, JD, we'll pass it to you first, and then we'll go to Miles, and then just kind of just hit a few highlighted points here and our thoughts of the game. But JD, where are you at mentally?
It's tough. I mean, to get throttled like that in year 7 by a first-year head coach was bad. I mean, Oscar I would say, is the one bright spot from last night's game. I think the thing that makes it worse is I was obviously not able to make the game, so I'm watching on CBS Sportsnet. I missed the first 2 drives because UTSA and Houston are in triple overtime. And to see – and I think personally Houston's a much better team than SMU. I think Houston will beat SMU this year. And to see, our conference mates go to triple overtime, I'm like, hey, North Texas has got a chance. And then we get absolutely destroyed. And I think the combination of those 2 things just leaves a horrible taste in your mouth, in my opinion. I mean, it was just probably the most disappointed I've been in probably the 7 years. I mean, I feel like at this point, we should have closed that gap between us and SMU, at least a little bit.
I mean, it was embarrassing, mainly being there. The crowd, it was emptied by the third quarter. Most of the crowd was gone by the third quarter. There's a lot of freshmen there. I know there's a ton of freshmen at this game. Their first impression of UNT football was a big loss. The worst loss to SMU since Matthew Bruni said 1941. That's worse than it could have been. I didn't think it could get that bad. I didn't come in here thinking we were going to win this game. I thought we would keep it close. The spread was 10 plus 10. I thought it would be a little bit closer than that. A lot of guys had them. A lot of the guys had us covering plus 10, but it was just embarrassing. Another embarrassing performance on a big stage. And it, like he said, year 7, and he's 1-6 against SMU. I put up a whole stat sheet on Twitter of all of the failed accomplishments. You can't even say accomplishments. All the failed tasks that he's had so far as a head coach, and it's embarrassing each year. And then when I talk so much on Twitter, it makes it even worse. It's not a rivalry anymore. It's gone so past it. It's just embarrassing each time.
Miles, I got you. I asked to use it because this is what Miles posted. I didn't realize it was bad. 1-6 versus SMU, 1-5 versus Louisiana Tech, 1-4 versus UAB, 5-17 versus FBS non-conference opponents. 0 for the last 9. 0 for 5 in bowl games, 0 for 1 in conference championship games, and 5 for 9 in the last 14 home games. It was a lot worse than I thought.
2 of those 17, 5 of the 17 FBS non-conference games were against Army. So, and those are pretty good Army teams too. And those were 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah. I think all of us are probably in agreement, though. You don't fire a coach 2 games into the season and expect anything really good out of it, even though it was horrible. A lot of the fan base, was calling for that, and I get it. I definitely get the cry for help and the angst, and people have traveled, states away to come, see that, and that's just disgusting. But as positive as I could be, I feel like we were just a few plays away from it being like 42-17, and
we're a few plays away from it being tied. You're 4th and 3rd and 1 at the 1 yard line. You don't get it. We went. I think I don't have an official stat. I'm pretty sure we were in the red zone 6 times and we scored one of them. It was a field goal. It wasn't even a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like the blocked field goal, the stand at the 1, the interception inside the 5-yard line, the turnover on downs inside the 20. I mean, it just I don't know. I don't know how you can be that bad in the red zone with the offense that you have, offensive line that you have. You know, a wildcat formation with Austin Ani in the flat. I don't know what they're doing. Oscar Attaway with 117 on the day. He's our best player, and they didn't use him in the right situations.
Yeah. Tom Herman on the broadcast was kind of losing his mind when we I think it was like 4th and 1, 4th and 2. We decided to kick the field goal. Then the field goal gets blocked. I mean, that's a huge momentum killer right there. And I'll be honest, like I think talent wise, I don't think that SMU is 38 points better than us on the field, like talent. It's just been a Seth Luttrell thing that we mess down our pants legs when we go in games that matter. I mean, it's just I don't know if it's not prepared or if it's just we psych ourselves up, but I mean, I feel like in the SMU game, we treat it like a rival. We're all hyped up, and SMU's just treating us like
an FCS school.
Like we're going to treat Texas Southern this week. We're going to come out. We're going to dominate Texas Southern. I feel like that's the way SMU looks at the North Texas game at this point.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we would have lost the UTEP game, though? However, I mean, that would probably – UNLV might be make or break if that was the case, you know. Yeah. But, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean – but it's kind of speaking on Luttrell's job, and all of us, have talked many times through the years about, I think all of us would like to see Luttrell succeed here. Just hasn't really happened to the heights that we would hope, and especially for what, he's being compensated and so on and so forth. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. But let's say we do still get 7 wins, which I think is still doable. I mean, I really do. I think SMU is the toughest team on the schedule. Probably second might be UTSA after what they did last night. We'll see how they pan out the rest of the season. But, they get to 7 wins, let's say. JD, I'll pass it to you, from here. But do you think Luttrell comes back for another year?
I mean, I think you've got to win 7, 8 games, and you got to win a bowl game. I just don't see him being able to go to another bowl game and lose. I mean, you can't go 0-7 in bowl games. I mean, that's just the way. And when you bring up the stats, I mean, you sit there now and you're like, oh, he's year 7. He's right at 50%. I think he's won like 38, lost 38, whatever it is. But you can't have zero postseason success and keep your job in today's. Because I mean, if you look at other schools, I mean, it's like you've got to win within 2 or 3 years or you're gone. He came in, he kind of won, but then we're looking at like year 4, year 5 in a row where it's just been kind of mediocrity, and I think they've got to make the jump this year. You've got to win 8, 9 games. You got to.
Yeah, Miles. Any thoughts on
I mean, yeah, you can't go 0-7 in the postseason, and like look at Louisiana Tech. They got rid of Skip Holtz after. What was it? Just one down year because they went to a bowl game in 2020. I'm pretty sure. Am I right on that? I think they did.
And I think they've won like five straight bowl games or 5 or 6.
They exactly won 5 straight bowl games. They went to 2. I think it was 1 or 2 conference championships. I mean, they were a good program, and they let go of Skip Holtz. And we're still winning games, but it's just the level of success we should be having is not what we're doing. Mainly with the team that we have and the players. Like, clearly we can't recruit as well as SMU. I mean, it's obvious we can't because we don't have the money that they're recruiting with. But, I mean, we're recruiting the wrong type of guys for a system of trying to win more than 9 games. I don't want to bash on any players. I don't want to hate on any players at all, but it's just showing. And a lot of casual fans are talking about this too. One guy was like, the talent gap's way too big. I mean, for North Texas to even be competing in the AAC next year, it's not even fair at this point. And look at Charlotte. Charlotte lost by nearly 20. They lost by 24 to an FCS school. It's just embarrassing each time. And I think if he goes 6-6 and we lose a bowl game, there's no way he's coming back. And his contract ends at the end of this year, correct?
I thought he had one more year. JD, do you know?
Yeah, I think he has one more year, but after this year, I think the buyout decreases substantially. I mean, after this season, I mean, you can walk away and not have to move funds elsewhere. I mean, I think it's pretty doable to walk away after this season.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's when if you don't make a bowl this year, there's no way staying. You just can't see it.
The only thing I want to add is like the recruiting from when Seth got here to now. I mean, we have jumped
For sure.
astronomical leaps. I'd say the most frustrating part for me is last year I felt like in my mind like it was a must-win season. This year is 100% a must-win season, and I feel like we've never really attacked recruiting like this is the year. This is the year. I mean, you look at a team like SMU. They added like I think 59 guys last offseason, and they had 18 seniors last night. We've got 5. Like the fact that we didn't go all in grad transfers, bring in guys to compete. I mean, the fact that it's game 2 of the year and we've got a walk-on defensive back starting at cornerback is just blows my mind. I'm like, how are we not more prepared to have depth there that we're not having to use the walk-on? Like, and that's nothing against the walk-on. The walk-on may be all conference this year, but I'm just saying like you should have had a little bit more of a backup plan, knowing that you had to win this season if you're Seth Luttrell.
Well, this happens a lot. I mean, each year we get these grad transfers that are supposed to be pretty good, and they never pan out. It just happens each and every year under Luttrell. I don't understand how it happens each year. There's so many guys, and Tommy Bush, I think, is a great player. They just aren't giving him enough opportunity. And of course, he broke his leg last year. It's a whole different situation. But it just happens each year. And right now, someone told me earlier, like, well, if we fire Luttrell at the end of the year, it's going to mess up recruiting. Right now, we have 5 commits. Yeah. 3 of them are ranked on 24/7. Dylan Brown Turner is probably the best player we have in our recruiting class. 5, and it's 5 people. You know, I think Brown Turner is the only person that's actually going to be playing at a better level, and the rest of those guys, no offense to them, would not be on the same level going to the AAC, but going to another school like SMU too. I mean, they're really the only guy that could compete.
And I think we've learned with coaching changes and stuff. I mean, that was probably one of my biggest fears a couple of years ago. Like, if Seth leaves, we're going to lose the whole recruiting class. We've seen Coach last year, this year. I mean, he came in late and literally brought in a whole new recruiting class after TCU literally picked up their whole recruiting class. So SMU had to start completely from scratch, and I felt like ended pretty strong. So the losing the coach recruiting doesn't hurt me. I mean, I think Wren showed us a pretty good with all his hires that he emphasizes on recruitment. So that I think they'll be covered in that regard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just some parting words, before we wrap up here. In the event we do get a new coach, it's unfortunate because I feel like there's a lot of good coaches on this staff, and Luttrell could be good, but I'm not going to defend him too much right now. But Coach Cobbs, Coach Mays, even though last night the score was horrible, Coach Bennett would be, unfortunately, hopefully, unfortunately, realistically, you lose a lot of those coaches in a new coaching hire. But if a guy can come in here and retain the right coaches, maybe, then that could be a positive. But anyway, so I mean that's fair. I guess that'll do it for now. And thanks for hopping on, guys. And we'll try to jump on another time this week, either one or both of us, and maybe talk a little bit about Texas Southern and this, that, and the other. But as always, go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.